Thank you, Director Cekada, for appearing before us today. First, congratulations on your Senate confirmation. I consider your leadership to be a new era of respect for the Second Amendment, and I have greatly appreciated our interactions to date. And I look forward to a continuing relationship with the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms and the Department of Justice as well. As I'll try and keep my comments pretty tailored to the Tiahrt amendments because that's what this hearing is about. The Tiahrt amendments are a series of appropriation riders, and I'm on the Appropriations Committee, to the annual ATF and FBI budgets included in some form since 2003 that prohibit the ATF from disclosing the contents of the National Trace Center or records collected from federal firearms licensees except for legitimate law enforcement purposes. This trace data includes the chain of ownership and the sale from point of manufacture. Public release of such data risks exposing undercover officers or other law enforcement personnel to criminal reprisal. One reason the Tiahrt Amendment has long been supported by the Fraternal Order of Police is that exact reason. Its release can also expose the identities and locations of law-abiding firearms retailers, subjecting small businesses to name-and-shame campaigns by anti-Second Amendment advocacy groups. Unfortunately, in the past, ATF has violated this important protection on numerous occasions. Most recently, in 2024, the Biden administration's ATF released sensitive trace data in response to a FOIA request by gun control organizations, despite the Tiahrt Amendment's superseding FOIA having been enacted after it. For the first time ever, this release included the names of federal firearms licensees, including my own business, making me, my business, its employees, a victim of this illegal activity. So thankfully, under your leadership, Director, the Trump administration has ended its unjust war on lawful gun owners and firearms businesses. But now it's a time for accountability, sir. Director Cekada, does ATF believe that the Tiahrt protects firearm trace information from disclosure under FOIA?
I think that's what the intention is, yes, sir.
Okay. Does the unlawful disclosure of sensitive trace data in violation of the Tiahrt Amendment pose a risk to legitimate law enforcement investigations?
It can, yes, sir.
All right. What policies or guidance, if any, does ATF have now in place to ensure that Tiahrt material is not disclosed to the public?
The current policy would ensure that any material protected by Tiahrt, to include that request that would come under FOIA, is not released and protected. Again, sir, as I mentioned earlier, my apologies on behalf of ATF for the inadvertent mistakes we made. But moving forward, barring a mistake that truly is a mistake, people would be held accountable. There's obviously a process that we undergo conducting an investigation. But I will give you an example. I've had a leak from an agent that came out during the Charlie Kirk case. That person is being recommended for termination. We are not playing around with anyone that would follow a path on their own versus one that is the legal path that ATF follows every day. So if anyone is proven to actually intentionally and willfully leaked anything that they shouldn't have given to someone under Tiahrt, they will be held accountable.
Well, thank you. Now, we've already talked about the GOA FOIA release being accidental, but this other release back in 2023 that talked about federal firearms licensees, has anyone been held accountable for that?
So that one, sir, I think that's the one that your business was under as well. That one was done under Director Dettelbach, under his leadership and time. So none of his team is here. His team either left with him or some were terminated by this administration. Everyone else here at ATF was not part of those decisions. And in, I believe it was August of 2025, we paused the DL2 program, which frankly the intention of the DL2 program was not to put out those names publicly. What that was supposed to be was letters to federal firearms licensee that were supposed to be kept private, to let the federal firearms licensee know that, hey, your business resulted in X number of transactions, and some of those transactions had a very short time to crime. None of that means that the federal firearms licensee or their business were in some part of a conspiracy with a straw purchaser or a trafficker. It means that, hey, you may have been targeted by someone who could be a straw purchaser, and they purchased a firearm. It was meant to engage interaction between ATF and the federal firearms licensee to prevent them from being victimized by traffickers.
Thank you. I have one more quick question for you. And this has to do with the out-of-business records. In the Firearm Owners Protection Act, under amendments to Section 926, help me understand. I understand that in the OBR right now is recording transactions, 4473s, through optical scanning, about 4 per second, et cetera, when I went to visit ATF. But yet in the Firearm Owners Protection Act, it says no such rule or regulation prescribed after the date of the enactment of the Firearm Owners Protection Act may require that records required to be maintained under this chapter or any portion of the contents of such records be recorded or transferred to a facility owned, managed, or controlled by the United States or any state or political subdivision thereof. Help me understand how the recording of these, the optical recording of these 4473s. Now you can have this 4473s, you can search them. All right, help me understand how that is not violating this section right here.
Yeah, again, sir, from our perspective, and it's something that I've been dealing with for years, and if Congress, the House and the Senate decide that this is something that can't be done, then we'd have to change. But the bottom line is we don't have the space for it. I think we're receiving somewhere in the area of 1 million records.
You do receive a lot.
Yeah. So this program was initiated before Rob Cekada was any sort of supervisor in ATF, and this is the way we've dealt with it. Even with the optical scanning, again, which only gives us a very limited access to the serial number, that still leaves us with massive amounts of paper records that we have to sort through and try to find a way to be able to search through in a rapid manner when we do get those trace requests from our state and local law enforcement partners in connection with the violent crime they're investigating.
Well, thank you, Director. I appreciate you being here. I look forward to your leadership in ATF and your team as well. And with that, I yield back, Mr. Chair.